Hi everyone, Rose here, bringing you, I think, what might be a staple to my channel, I'm not sure, another tag video. I really enjoy these. This one is called the Rapid Fire book tag. I originally saw this on Fadwa's channel, which I will link that down below, and also the original creator of this tag. I think the theme of this particular tag is umbrella about books. It doesn't really get more focused than that, and you know what? That's cool. Yeah, let's just get into it. Okay. Paperback or hardback? I'm gonna have to go with paperback. Hardback is for the aesthetics, but for comfort, I would definitely go with paperback. Yeah, that's not a very deep question, so it doesn't need a deep answer. Let's move on. Ebook or physical book? Physical book all the way. While I do very much appreciate ebooks and how the portability of it, but there's something very special about physical books that I just really enjoy. And plus, when it comes to annotating a book, if I happen to be doing that or want to do that, it's just a lot easier to do in a physical book, and it's easier to find those annotations rather than doing so in a Kindle, at least for me, because laziness. Okay, cool. Online or in-store book shopping? Hi. No. What? In-store book shopping. Online book shopping, it definitely has its pros to it, especially if you don't have in-store book shops readily available to you. But for me, I very much appreciate being able to just take my time, just go through that wonderful experience of either physically being able to touch the books that I know what I'm looking for, or just browsing around and searching for a new book. It's a special time. Trilogies or series? Maybe it's just that I haven't read enough of either one to feel strongly about either one, and that's kind of my answer. I don't have a strong preference between a trilogy or a series, but gosh, if I had to pick, we're gonna go with trilogy, just because. Heroes or villains? I'm gonna lean towards heroes, although I love me some well-developed, nuanced villains that truly challenge the hero of the story, that make the hero question their own morality, their own actions. But I don't know, I go with the heroes because, I want to and I enjoy being able to root for the person, for someone, and I mean, you don't really want to root for the villain, although sometimes there can be those exceptional stories where you're kind of low-key, rooting for the villain because of certain circumstances and context and stuff. But okay, let's summarize. Heroes. A book you want everyone to read. Okay. I don't know if this is a cheat or a cop-out, I'm not sure. So I am going to combine this question and the next question, which is, recommend an underrated book. The Check Please comics by Ngozi Ukazu. In my perspective, I do think it's kind of underrated, and I absolutely adore this comic. It has a warm place in my heart because I was following along with this comic. It was originally a webcomic that Ngozi Ukazu, she posted on Tumblr specifically since, was it 2013? I think since 2013, and I started following along with the comic back in 2016, so I got to see at least half of that happening in real time, so it makes me so happy. Read it, please, if you want to. I encourage you to. I'm gonna move on now. The last book you finished. So speaking of Ngozi Ukazu, this right here, it's the Chirp book. It is simply a collection of tweets. So, okay, slight history. When it comes to the comics of Oh My God, Check Please, or just Check Please, when she was publishing those, she was also running an account for the main character, there we go, Eric Biddle. She was acting as Eric Biddle, and she was doing tweets along with the comic, which, that's buck wild. That is a lot of work, mad respect to her. And so this is just the collection of all of the tweets that she did as Eric Biddle in one lovely and beautiful. And this, oh gosh, it's so pretty. Why am I doing this? I don't know. The last book you bought. Is this kind of like a mini book haul? Kind of, I guess. The last 2 books, because I got it at the same time, just like 2 days ago, I got some language books, specifically on learning German, because, hello, I am still learning German. These are the books. Let me read this to you. This one is called Unlocking German with Paul Noble. Your Key to Language Success. I did a little bit of skimming through this, and this just seems right up my alley of making learning German accessible and fun, basically. Especially, oh my gosh, I just gotta put it out there. German grammar. That is my feeling on German grammar. Okay, and the second book that I got is just simply called Easy German. And, oh shoot, what's the author? Where are you? This is by Fiona, Chandler, and Nicole, Irving. And it looks very beginner friendly. There's a lot of visuals in this particular book, which, yes, please. And there's a storyline that I will be able to follow. I really enjoy visuals when I'm going to learn something. I would say, especially learning a language, visuals, yes, please, not just text. Weirdest thing you've used as a bookmark? I'm sure I might have used something strange or weird in my lifetime, but I really can't think of anything beyond a pencil or a pen. Okay, I'll have to see if I can find it. Do you guys know that chart that has used books? Yes or no? Yes. There's a whole, I'm sure, like environmental reason I can go on to explain of why it's so important and good to buy used books, but we're just not happening today. I'm just going to simply say yes to buying used books. Although, am I like super picky that I really prefer my books to be in almost pristine condition? Yes, because I'm just that kind of biche. But still, yes to used books. This question. Top 3 favorite genres. I thought about this before pressing record, and I can really only say I feel strongly about 2 genres, and I think that would be fantasy and contemporary. If I had to choose a third for this question, I would lean towards classic, with many question marks after that. I'm not sure. Hold on, I need to pause this for a second. Otherwise it's gonna cut off. Borrow or buy? Borrow. I've said this more than once, but I will reiterate it here. If given the opportunity, I very much prefer to borrow books from a library first, because when it comes to my own personal collection, I prefer to just buy books that I love or really enjoy and I know that I want to come back to and reread. I mean, I'm sure there might be like a couple books that I might not actually reread, but I just simply want to have it in my collection. But in general, borrowing from the library very much aids me in determining whether I want to buy a book, I should say, and put it in my collection. And plus, I'm just cheap. If I don't have to buy a book, I'm not going to. Characters or plot? I would say characters. Simply put, characters are very important to me, especially in terms of I want to be able to connect with one or some of the characters. That's it. Done. Long or short books? I don't know if I really have a preference, because it really just depends on the genre and the story. I mean, it's certainly satisfactory to read a bunch of short stories, and it's just satisfying to see that like bigger stack. But anywho's, okay, so I don't really have a particular reason for this, but I'll just go with short stories. Shorter stories. Long or short chapters? Short chapters, because the only way I can think of to describe it is it just makes the reading experience easier. And also once you come to the end of a chapter, there's something satisfactory about that natural stopping point, that natural pause point where you could just have a clear mind to say, yes, I finished this chapter, now I can close this and, sleep peacefully now. That sort of general feeling. So name the first 3 books you can think of. Oh no, one of these kind of questions. The Lightning Thief, which I've never read. What's another one? The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. And what is another book? Okay, I'm gonna blame Kenny J.D. for this. 50 Shades of Grey, and I'm blaming her because before I was recording this, I was watching one of her videos again of her commentary on 50 Shades of Grey, which that, by the way, is absolutely hilarious. I'm going to link that particular video down below, but yeah, still, I'm blaming her for making me think of 50 Shades of Grey, which, that's my opinion on that. Moving on. Books that make you laugh or cry. Laugh? I am the type of person, I cry easy. As Chris Evans at some point has said in his life, probably more than once, I cry quick. So I don't need any aid in crying more. I very much prefer laughter because laughter, it releases the serotonin, and I prefer to be happy, so laughter, folks. Our world or fictional worlds. Oh, I feel like this very much has the potential to become a very deep and philosophical conversation, but wow, I do not have the energy or the general capacity to do that kind of thing justice. So without looking too deep into it, I'm gonna go with Our World because I am trying to live my best life. And audiobooks, yes or no? Yes. Period. I do not understand the opinion out there that audiobooks does not count as real reading when it very much does, because whether people realize it or not, having that kind of mentality to say, audiobooks is not real reading, that is ableist, because you are excluding people who, for example, people who are blind. Yes, they have Braille, but they also have, thankfully with the option of audiobooks, they can read books through audio. And then just people who learn easier through auditory learning as well, it's incredibly beneficial for people such as that. And yeah, just check yourself is what I'm trying to say. I really enjoy listening to nonfiction books through audiobooks. I think it just makes it a more pleasant and easier experience to get through nonfiction and to penetrate in my brain. Yeah, okay. Do you ever judge a book by its cover? Okay, yes. I try not to, but I'm only human. It's fine. Have I been able to look past the cover and discover that the story within was wonderful and I really enjoyed it? Yes, of course. Where was I? Book to movie or book to TV adaptations. This very much depends on the book, because I do think some stories are more suited towards having a mini-series to have that time to tell the story properly, whereas there are definitely other stories, they are best suited to a bite-sized movie format. Can that just be the answer on its own? Yeah, it really depends on the book and the story. A movie or TV show you preferred to its book. The first movie that did pop into my head would be Matilda. I definitely prefer the movie over the book. Just a couple reasons would be, I felt that the movie version, I preferred how the story was laid out. That sounds kind of vague, but I'm not really sure how else to phrase that. I also felt that some of the characters and character relationships were fleshed out better as well in the movie adaptation. And spoiler for the book, something that I preferred in the movie was that Matilda, she kept her powers, whereas in the book, her powers just kind of disappeared because I guess for the book version, Matilda just no longer needed her powers. She was past her difficult time and her difficult issues. But just simply put, I don't know, I like magical powers, so I was like, yay for Matilda keeping her magical powers in the movie, and cool. So, end of spoilers. Finally, the last question. There was a lot. Series or standalones? If I had to think back on my reading habits, I do tend to gravitate towards standalones. No real particular reason. It's just is what it is, and it's what has happened. I certainly don't mind series. I've read plenty of series in my time, but yeah, standalones. Wow, this took longer than I expected, but it usually does. Even so, I had a good time. If any fellow creators out there want to do this tag, blanket, you are tagged. Thank you all so much for watching this. Please take care, everyone, and I will see you all in my next video. Also, like and subscribe if that feels right to you, and cool. Okay, bye.